Hello and welcome to another Thunder Update. I'm Barry Trammell, sitting in for Jenny Carlson, joined today by Thunder writer Eric Horn. And Eric, we have reached the season of free agency. July 1st, free agents can start talking to teams. They can sign a few days after. Speculation rampant in Oklahoma City. That means Paul George. What's he going to do? And we read the tea leaves everywhere, starting with LeBron James. What will LeBron James' ultimate destination? How will that affect Paul George? Anything we can take from the NBA Finals?
It kind of depends on, whether or not LeBron James wants to team up with another superstar. And Paul George was one of those guys that the Cleveland Cavaliers were very interested in even before, they got to the NBA Finals. Around the time last year where, Cleveland was trying to strengthen their team after coming off of the finals loss, the 5 games in Golden State last year, they were trying to trade for Paul George. There were multiple times they tried to make that deal happen and it didn't work. So I wouldn't put it past Cleveland, trying to reach out to Paul George's people to see if they want to strike a deal. Cleveland's going to be over the cap, so that means it would have to be a situation where it would be similar to a Chris Paul situation with the Clippers before he went to Houston, where Paul George's people would have to go to the Thunder and say, look, we're not coming back. We want to go here. How do we make it happen? And then the Thunder and Cleveland could strike up a deal prior to free agency to where it could work out that, Paul George could end up going to Cleveland. The Thunder could get some assets from Cleveland. But the problem with that is Paul George and his people have always made it clear that Paul George wants to go to free agency. LA's been the spot that's been rumored to be his preferred destination, even last year, going back to when Paul George was in Indiana. And frankly, LA's going to have enough space, or they're going to work to have enough space to where they can possibly get 2 maximum free agents, which means Paul George and LeBron James could possibly be in the same city next year.
Let me ask you this. When it comes to the potential of the Cleveland, do we think there's any reason to think that LeBron wants to stay in Cleveland? Is he a goner from the Cavs?
I think the biggest reason is staying in the East. Other than that, I don't know if there's any incentive for LeBron James wanting to stay in Cleveland because, he's won the championship in Cleveland. He's already done the impossible. So from here on out, basically, everything else is lagniappe in Cleveland. I mean, the guy has nothing else to prove there. That's the place that he was from. He's from Ohio. He delivered a championship that was so sorely needed for that franchise. So from here on out, LeBron James is basically a made man. He can go and do whatever he wants, and I think his legacy is secure because he did the impossible in beating that Golden State 73-win team and bringing a championship to Cleveland. So if he wanted to stay in Cleveland, he'd probably have an easier road to the NBA championship. He wouldn't have to go through the Warriors or the Rockets. But he could end up going to the Rockets, going head-to-head against the Warriors, or he could end up forging his a new path with the Lakers and trying to bring on another star, possibly, a Paul George or a guy like Kawhi Leonard, because we don't know what's going to happen with Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio either.
Wild card question. As it relates to Paul George, are there any other free agents, any other NBA players we need to keep an eye on besides LeBron that could affect PG-13?
DeMarcus Cousins is a guy you probably want to keep an eye on. He's a guy who, New Orleans is going to have to weigh whether or not they want to sign him or not. If the Lakers strike out on LeBron, DeMarcus Cousins is a guy who could be in play just to be another enticing piece for Paul George to play with. There's a guy like DeAndre Jordan that's going to be on the market. He's a guy who's rumored that Dallas has interest in because Dallas is going to have some salary cap space. And there hasn't been a lot of success in free agents going to Dallas in the past, so they're probably going to be desperate to get at least one big name or a guy to kind of anchor down their front line. But, big thing comes down to is are the young players in LA going to be enough to where Paul George is enticed to want to go there in free agency because he already has established players in Russell Westbrook and Steven Adams that he can make another run at that will probably be better than Paul George going at it alone in Los Angeles with guys like Brandon Ingram or Lonzo Ball.
Well, it's going to be fascinating. The whole league is waiting and watching, and starts with LeBron James, but Paul George comes quickly thereafter. Stay tuned for further Thunder coverage here on News OK and every day in the Oklahoman.